All right, everybody. Welcome back to Nerds of Legend. I'm Ben. This is Brian to the right of me, and down below is Joel. This week we'll be talking about Bloods Point Road and a number of different. Maybe if we don't eat up enough time with Bloods Point Road, we'll talk about some other local legends around us. And so with that. We're going to start off with Brian over here.
Okay. Well, the legend of Blood Point Road is something about as old as Rockford is itself. The name itself comes from Arthur Blood, and it can be traced as far back as 1841. There are many legends surrounding the infamous Blood Point Road, some of which have historical evidence to back it, like, for example, the stories of the witch who troubled Arthur Blood and his family. Then there
Is
are
that Beulah?
That is correct. That is Beulah.
Mm-hmm.
There are,
that's
of course,
a witch name.
That is a witch name.
That is definitely a hard witch. Sorry,
You're good. There are the Hellhounds that guard Blood Point Cemetery. There are rumors of ghostly children who will help out desperate motorists along Blood Point Road. Or there is a phantom-like black truck or large sport utility vehicle that tends to run down people trying to make them crash on Blood Point Road. So the area itself is infamous for paranormal activity, which is one of the reasons why it is so revisited. There are plenty of people who come from all over around as like a local rite of passage to visit the road at night. And with that, I'm going to show off my reading material for this particular episode. This is the book Haunted Rockford, Illinois by Kathy Crystal. She has written a number of different books around the area, included Haunted Quad Cities, as well as, what was the other one she did very recently? I believe it was Haunted Route 66, I think it was. Bad Brian, I don't remember the other books. Anyways, she is a very accomplished author, and she has been writing about the paranormal and other such ghostly material in the greater Rockford area for a number of years now. Her books are, of course, on sale, basically anywhere you want to go pick them up. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Joel.
turn it over to me. That was a shock. I was raised in the area, and Bloods Point for me, I was very shocked to find out when I started really digging into Bloods Point. Bloods Point to me in Poplar Grove was the Phantom Truck. That was the story we heard about. You go on Bloods Point, you cross the bridge, you're chased by a set of headlights that goes sometimes all the way past the cemetery. Sometimes it'll go past the bridge, depending on the way you're going. But that was our Bloods Point experience. That's what all of my friends said they saw. And to dig into it and find out that it had more. Like, the name Beulah, I really got excited about because I had no idea there was more to it. I thought this was going to just be, you get on the road and you're chased by a truck. Ooh, scary. That's it. And I didn't expect it to be as big as it is. The fact that Bloods Point has this history, to me, makes it much more of an interesting place. I thought, I did, like you guys both had said in the beginning, you had both said, well, I looked at other stuff because Bloods Point was just a thing we all knew about. Don't go to Bloods Point. If you go to Bloods Point, be sure that your cars have got enough gas. Don't stop on the bridge. things like this. Nothing, I've never heard of a person, let alone a series of murders or a series of events. Mine was always the truck. And I had the experience with the truck as a child. I mean, I want to say I was 17. And my best friend and I decided we had to go to Bloods Point and we're going to find this. We drove up and down it. The first time didn't see anything because we realized I didn't know. I thought it was the entirety of Bloods Point Road. Didn't know all the activity happened from the Pearl Street to Bloods Point Cemetery. And so I went just outside of Belvedere heading towards Genoa, I want to say, and for Genoa Road. And that got me nothing. Had absolutely nothing. Going the other way, we did get a vehicle passing behind it, but it was such a it was just headlights. So was it the Phantom truck? Maybe, maybe not. I never got creeped out because I was wildly stoned in the 90s. So I didn't really feel the appropriate level of terror. But to look back and see all of these, like I'm looking at Paranormal Rockford, which is a wonderful website for those of you from the Rockford area or the northern Illinois or southern Wisconsin area to take a look at for cryptids. They do cryptids, they do local legends. It's a wonderful website. Take it out. It's paranormalrockford.com. I really like it. But it's giving me a number of sightings and things that claim to have happened since 1839, which is where I think the first report happened out. And I don't know if it's the first report or the death report of this Beulah who reportedly had killed her entire family. The story changes several times. Beulah either hung herself and her children off of a bridge. Herself was murdered and hung off the bridge by her husband. There is one of a man with a pitchfork that hangs around Bloods Point Cemetery. He's supposed to chase people away, of course. Phantom truck.
Beulah is also supposed to haunt Bloods Point Cemetery as well.
Oh, I'm just going down the list of what's the most commonly reported thing on Bloods Point. This is again according to paranormalrockford.com, which is it's super neat, and it's all in the old black and white writing that the first UFO websites came out of, that Angel Fire stuff. It's super creepy and spooky-ish, and I love it.
That classic, unsolved mysteries sort of thing.
Yeah, it does. If they would have had the trailing blood at the bottom of the words, I'd have been perfect. I love it. I would have taken it a lot less serious, but it still is. It's fun and visually appealing to myself. So the others, you see full apparitions inside the cemetery and along the roadway near the cemetery. If you put your vehicle in neutral on the bridge, it will roll off. And with that being said, there's an incline on the bridge, so it's going to roll anyway. But that doesn't matter. It's a ghost. If you put your vehicle...
You're forgetting the part that if you do that on the bridge, and if you put baby powder on your bumper, there'll be fingerprints on it. Yeah.
There'll be hands, yeah.
And this is why I like the local legends, because everybody heard different stories. I only heard of the truck. All of this is new information. Since last time we talked, we're going to try new stuff. This is all new. I've only heard of the Phantom truck. Northern Boone County, Bloods Point, only Phantom truck. There's two more. There is a shed in the far back of the cemetery. The shed had legends of draining batteries, screams of females and small children from inside of it, and mysterious lights from within the shed when there was no power or anyone else inside. Mysterious lights are spotted on the cemetery and the nearby woods. And then I love this one. I love because it makes everything else tracks for standard cemetery spookiness. Some say they've seen a creepy clown crawling across the pavement.
I saw but the clown. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Apparently,
what is a clown?
So apparently the the clown, because I did see a like random anecdote about this. The
That is a
clown,
red flag, gotta follow line right there.
the clown goes back to the school bus, the school bus incident, which apparently, the school bus driver was wearing a clown costume when they were hit by the train.
Did you? I watched a video on YouTube of people tracking that one, and they stopped at the Pearl. I think it's a bridge just past Pearl Street, right outside of Belvedere.
Yeah, I'm actually not. I've driven on that road so many times, but I haven't been able to figure out what bridge people are actually talking about.
I as well, and in the daytime,
because there's like 3 like railroad bridges on Bloods Point Road. Just so everyone knows.
I think this is a bridge just off of Pearl Street coming out of Belvedere, and all of this stuff happens between Belvedere and Terry Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Which you really got to think, it's the off-road past Business 20, and it's going to be dark, it's going to be creepy, and anybody driving that road, especially like mid-winter where like night is super dark, that's a creepy-ass road.
Yeah.
And then the last one was of an older black lady who reports to have been hung by the local KKK, is reported to play her guitar and sing religious songs if you visit the cemetery. That's the last one. So all of these, I've heard of none of them, except for the Phantom truck, even the hand pushing one. Now, I did see an interesting video. I can't remember which one it was. I will, if it's important, you can ask about it, and I'll put it in I'll put it in the chat later. I'll hunt it back up. But a couple of dudes that went down and did some like preliminary physics research, such as finding out that there's a slight incline on the bridge. So you put a neutral, you're going to naturally slide off of it because of the incline. But the train, which is a real popular one, according to my readings, the train tracks are like 30 feet down from the base of the bridge. Not the top of the bridge, under the bridge. It's 30 feet down from there. That is a really tall train that is going to go. I think most trains are 10 feet, maybe 15 at best. I mean, they're big, but they're not 30 feet big. So for them to get hit by a train, that train's doing that's a flying train. Mm-hmm. And it would have destroyed a lot more than just hit a bus.
Yes.
So if it's a flying ghost train, that's a whole different level of paranormal shit.
Yeah, there's also crap, I forgot what I was going to say. We didn't talk about where the entire thing started up with Arthur Blood back in the 1830 or 36, or was it 1840, somewhere around there.
1841.
Yeah.
Is that what the founding of the cemetery, or?
So Blood's Point Road. This Arthur Blood guy, he had a house. Basically, the road was put in because of him. He had a farm out there, and he lived with his wife and 3 children. And apparently, he had a contentious relationship with Beulah. Now, I've seen multiple things where either Beulah hung her 3 children from the railroad bridge, or
that's the one I've seen.
he also the other one was that Arthur Blood banned his children. He had some kind of his children liked to visit this local woman who was believed to dabble in witchcraft, and he banned them from visiting her, and at which point she supposedly cursed Arthur Blood, and they received a winter from hell that killed livestock across the region. There was prairie fires and disease as well, and even after all this, when Blood discovered his kids were still visiting this local woman, he hanged all 3 of the children from the Bloods Point Rail Bridge. That's what this.
It's really funny that you're talking
That
about
says.
this because I tried to get a picture of Beulah so we could throw it up to get up there. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Northern Boone County, we had McGregor Road and McCurry Road. And that's where Beulah is also reported to have been. First thing I looked up was which Beulah that lived in a house in the secluded woods on McGregor Road, which is northern Boone County.
Yeah.
And it might be northern Winnebago County. I don't know. It was right around the cusp, like the South Beloit area. And it was another one of those don't try, but I don't remember a whole lot of specifics about it. Just don't go on it ever. I do remember driving on it one time with a girlfriend of mine when I was in like 97 and it was eerily silent. And I was like, thought things were touching me. But again, super stoned. So I don't know what it was. And it may have just been the girlfriend touching me. And I'm not paying a whole lot of attention.
So
I just creeped out that I realized I was on this road.
Are we doing debunking at all at this point or anything like that?
We can do whatever.
So one thing that was interesting about the article that I read was that there was someone who did an article for the Rockford Register Star, and she went through basically all kinds of newspaper archives and whatnot. And she was not able to find any reports of hangings, witchcraft accusations of that nature, but she did find reports of a string of unexplained fires in the mid-1800s in and around the Blood family farmland. So there's sort of this thing where it's like there's certain things that it seems like record keeping wasn't maybe there. Maybe it's just a bunch of people that have been BSing for 100 years, and the waters have gotten muddied on that. But it's interesting that there's reports of the fires, but there's no reports of this hanging. There's no reports of this witchcraft stuff. There's also no evidence of any kind of school bus crash, which makes sense because I feel like if there actually had been one, there would be some memorial somewhere around this railroad bridge. You know what I mean? One of the
points that were brought up in some of the videos that I watched that are referencing this school bus crash was the fact that if you're from the area, if there's a tragedy, everybody talks about it. They talk about it all the time. We heard about the Belvedere tornado that happened in like the late 60s all the time. Everybody, the last tornado destroyed all of this and all of that. Great. They talked about it all the time. Everybody knew about it. So if a group of children would have been hit, you would have at least encountered somebody who's like, oh, I remember hearing about that story.
Yeah, if a school bus full of 50 people dies, like you're looking at like some massive memorial. Like you're not looking at just like this half-heard legend. Yeah, somebody knows somebody's kid that died in this crash, but
right.
No record.
My brother died in that crash. My uncle. Belvedere is not that big.
Right.
Even at its biggest, when it's like 25,000 people, you're going to run into somebody who's like, oh yeah, my uncle, his classmate, they died on Bloods Point Road. Somebody.
Yeah.
But nobody. And then it goes so far back. I don't know how old the Belvedere School District is. Or the Cherry Valley School District, but it's not a big region. Like, you have the ability, especially working where like Brian and I work, where there's an intense population of the region working there. Somebody we would have at least heard tangentially of like, oh yeah, my buddy across the street, his uncle knows about this. We would have heard something, but we didn't. And this does, if going into your wanting to debunk, this does sound a lot like overactive imaginations and creepy ass roads.
It's a bunch of city kids that go out to the nearest rural road, and then because they're not used to it being quiet and dark, they're like, "Oh my god, I saw an evil dog." I was like, pretty sure that was just a coyote, but whatever.
One of the things that Missy and I were talking about was it's always a cemetery. There's a cemetery in the middle of nowhere, and they seem to just people just love to be like, oh, I saw spooky stuff at a cemetery. Of course you did. And it's funny because in the very beginning of our relationship, we listened to this podcast, Lore. And I like Lore. It's a very Aaron Mankey is very soothing in the way that he talks. It does a great job. And he was talking about Resurrection Mary. And I was driving to Missy's house on this time to see it. And I go right past Resurrection Cemetery, which is Resurrection Mary, which is right off of, I want to say, Archer. And that is the road Missy lived on. And I was like, holy shit, I heard this story. It was about the cemetery, and there's a lady named Resurrection Mary. Have you heard it? It's so close to your house. And she looked at me like I was out of my fucking mind. She's like, yeah, everybody here knows about Resurrection Mary. It's a local legend around here to the point where it's just common knowledge, much like don't go on Blood Point Road after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And that got me really into this whole thing. But it always seems to start around a cemetery. Everybody late at night drives by a cemetery. They're like, that's creepy. Ghosts. And
to bring this all back a little bit to our normal roundhouse of like RPGs and whatnot, the Rockford area, and I'm talking about the greater Rockford area, you know, Rockford proper, Cherry Valley, McChesney Park, Loves Park, to a slightly lesser extent, Roscoe, Rockton, Belvedere, Poplar Grove sort of thing. All of these things could be considered part of the greater Rockford area. Like if you live around here, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you say Rockford, you know, people who aren't assholes aren't going to correct you like, whoa. You mean Cherry Valley?
Correct.
Yeah.
I've never nitpicked when people are like, you're by Rockford? Well, actually, I'm from Poplar Grove.
I would argue that you'd rather claim Rockford than Poplar Grove, probably.
Actually,
Well, I mean, everyone does that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
sometimes you'll get that asshole who'll be like, actually, I live in Loves Park. And it's all like, dude, you live in Rockford. You know where you live. Come on.
yeah, shut the fuck up. Like,
There's
there is
no
break in
dividing
your
line.
Community to Rockford proper.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly,
you haven't looked on the fucking property lines for, like, fucking, like, you know, oh, this part here, this is Loves Park. No, you haven't fucking done that. You
Yeah,
just see a big
I hate
sign that
those
says,
people.
welcome to Loves Park.
Actually, I live. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can drive without a break in buildings or civilization or urban structure from
Yep.
Loves Park to McChesney Park. Shut the fuck up. Like, the only way you know is because
Water
there's
tower?
like a little sign that they
Oh,
still
yeah.
pretend they're different towns. McChesney Park
Yeah.
is not a different town just because you put a sign up somewhere in the middle of Jesus, I can't even remember the name.
173 or
250.
Yeah.
Alpine or
I can't remember
Yeah.
what's the main road that goes. Is it 251? Is that it?
251.
There you
251
go.
North.
Yeah, and there's that little by that ridiculous gateway arch or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just swear the best salesman of the world just glued PVC pipe together, painted it red. He's like, symbol of Rockford, and they're like, symbol of Rockford. What is it? Shut the fuck up.
The
That's-
symbol. Yep. The Sinnissippi Park symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? It's called the Gateway, by the way, which I learned that in art class. They're like, it's called the Gateway. I'm like, for real? That's even worse. Like,
I can't even walk through it.
yeah, like, well, what kind of
How
gateway?
is it a gateway?
It was like, they told us, they're like, it's the Gateway. I'm like, it is literally just a bunch of stuff glued together.
Yeah.
Massive.
Well, the thing I was saying was that Rockford is so well known. Like, the area is very big, yes.
Yeah.
But the
it
area
is a big city. Like,
oh, it's a big city. Like, it's
Yeah.
tremendously big city. Like, when you actually go ahead and include everyone who lives in fucking McChesney Park or Loves Park, you know,
yeah,
we have thousands upon thousands of people living here. We have hundreds of thousands of people in this, like, area. And Rockford has become known as such a paranormal hotspot that even publishers of RPGs are taking notice because, like, people who know me well will know that I have been trying to build up some stuff for a Rockford Vampire the Masquerade game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been
I
something
remember.
that's been, yeah, it's been something that's been a creative hobby of mine for a little bit. I haven't actually gotten a game going just yet, but because we're all familiar with Rockford, that's the kind of place I wanted to set it. And so naturally, I picked up some of the Chicago books for Vampire the Masquerade.
I was going to say that the lore in Chicago of their creepy stuff, it's all murder based.
Oh,
a lot of it's heavy that I've come across. The stories are a lot of heavy, very influenced in the 1920s.
Or a lot of mob stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very, very heavy mob pieces. And I wonder if a lot of the Rockford is like the manufacturing areas. Those are places that are prone to accidents and people being like, shut the fuck up, we're going to lose our contracts. And they know Jim fell in the vat. You know?
Yeah.
So you think, because labor laws and stuff weren't really a thing when Rockford was really cranking out product.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. Yeah. The thing I was talking about with Vampire, even some of the Vampire books officially recognize the area of Rockford as being so paranormally active that they throw in like changelings and demons and like werewolves into the area. Like this place is canonically called the Weird in the new editions of Vampire the Masquerade. And it
really
is because oh yeah.
I still want to give that one a go. I feel we're in a better headspace to give Vampire the Masquerade a go than we were the first time we tried it because we had too many people.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do think with our knowledge of the Rockford area, you two still living there and me literally being raised there, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to give it a go and see what it's like, especially pointing out all of this lore. This Vampire is so much more difficult to play, imagination speaking.
It is.
You know, I respect
it's a different beast is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
It is a totally different game.
So wait, the Chicago VTM books refer to Rockford as like the Weird, like it's its own thing. There's like, oh, we don't talk about Rockford.
Oh yeah. Here, let me grab the book. I have it right over here behind me. And if people who want to kind of like follow along with me want to know which book I'm talking about specifically, I believe it is this one right here. Called
I get so jealous every time you just reach into your weird ass pile of books. What's funny is it's even so much more impressive when you actually go to your house.
Oh yeah, I've got the shelves behind me here that everyone kind of like sees them on camera where you've got like the D&D
but that's like a fraction
here.
of your nerd collection.
Just tiny and then like you've got like all the shit over on that side of the room.
Yeah, because you're in the D&D room.
Yeah, this is the hobby room.
Yeah.
So let's see here. This is the Chicago Folios. This was released as a companion book to the Chicago by Night book. And specifically where it talks... here we go. Page 161 of the Chicago Folios details a lore sheet. And lore sheets, for people who don't know, in Vampire the Masquerade, can be used when you're creating your character or when you're later spending experience points to, level up and whatnot. Because they don't have a proper leveling system. It's more like you get experience points and you spend experience points. Mm-hmm. So when you look at this lore sheet, you can take certain advantages from the lore sheet listed below. But the thing that makes it interesting is whenever you buy dots or advantages from the lore sheet, it ties you into a greater story within the larger vampire community. And this particular lore sheet is called Goblin Roads. And it says, traveling between Chicago and Milwaukee is perilous in the extreme. Lupines infest the roads and towns that connect the great cities, and far stranger things inhabit the eerie wetlands, forests, and quiet spots between. And it is interesting to me that they call out specifically Rockford and Milwaukee.
It comes to a point where you start wondering, is it because of the influx of people back then? Because if you look at it doesn't feel this way when you're around there, but when you look at data, the Chicagoland area is the most densely populated area in the United States. I mean, more so than New York and more so than Los Angeles. We are the most, you think of everything that is considered Chicagoland, which does extend all the way to Rockford, all the way up to Madison and Indianapolis. It's a massive area. And it's a hub city. So, like, you get people in there of a million different types, and they all tell stories. And they all come in and tell stories. And each story influences each other. Like, while we're sitting there just looking at this, you could see Beulah she's a busy witch. Like, she's running up at McCurry and McGregor Road all the way down to Bloods Point. She is very active. And it's neat to see how these people have said, well, I heard, I saw, and it creates this local legend. Right? Like, Ben Hurd put powder on if there's powder or dirt on your bumper, you're going to see children's hands pushing you off a bridge. Never heard that. You might have heard the story. You know, you said you heard the story of the people walking around. Ben's like, oh, yeah, the clown was the driver. Okay? All new information because nobody in my area gave a fuck about a clown driver. Or children, apparently. But they're just again, like, there's trucks on the roof.
Well, the funny part,
the Hellhounds.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on yet. But the funny part, if you look at, so the funny part about Bloods Point Road was there wasn't really much about it recently until like I think it was either 5 or 10 years ago. There was some show or magazine or something that did an episode of the 10 most dangerous roads in the United States. And Bloods Point Road was on there. And that's when a bunch of this like hype went up again. And then also the legend of the ghost truck sort of came into the forefront again. And there's an article I was reading. It was like, it's funny that all of a sudden there's this black truck that all of a sudden shows up in all these things because it's a resident.
What year was it?
Let's see. What was the? Let me find that article. I've got about 8 pages. There was This article was written in 2009, and the guy's talking about how where is it about the road? Oh yeah, the road became so popular. So there was a certain point where this road, the myth or the legend of this road, became so popular that the sheriff's office was setting up patrols in the area.
Yeah, your mic is.
Oh, weird. The Boone County Sheriff's Department's changed its patrol patterns to curb vandalism on the road as well. But there was a guy that was it says, here's the quote: "Did you read about the one about the ghost truck, the black truck that chases you all of a sudden you look back and it's gone?" Said Russell Moth. What the heck? Okay.
So I find it funny while you're addressing that is I like correlations. I always have. Some of them give you some really interesting stories, but Supernatural was hitting like a really good stride from like 2009 to I think its best episodes are its earlier ones where they're going over local legends. There is an episode in 2006 called Route 66, Route 666, which features a large black truck that drove people off the road. Mm-hmm. And you talking about the black truck is the first time there's any I ever heard of details being put behind the truck on Bloods Point Road. It was always just you're chased by headlights, mm-hmm. and then when you turn off, you don't see a vehicle go by you. There's no taillights, mm-hmm. It's just lights that chase you off it. And you're telling me in 2009, now it's this big black truck.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is that influenced by shows like Supernatural, who are like, well, what kind of truck? And people are just now yes-anding their way into it. What kind of? Well, it was a giant black Ford F-250. You know?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. Does it have fog lights? Maybe. Does it have...
Is my mic having issues still?
No.
Okay. So apparently the guy who's a resident on Bloods Point Road, he says, like, it's funny that all of a sudden the big black truck myth shows up because 2 years... Man. Because 2 years ago, we bought a new truck. And guess what? It's black.
It used to be a Toyota Celica.
Yeah.
That's what drove people off the road.
Yeah.
Why is it always a truck, though? You ever think about it? It's never like I was driving down the road and I was run off by a Prius.
Well,
it's always a big truck.
If you think about it, like you're in a car or you're in most people drive a car, right? Or like a lower SUV. If you're driving down the road, like if you have a car come up behind you and it's got its brights on, like, yeah, it's annoying, but like you can still tell it's like a car. But like if you have this huge truck coming up behind you and it's got its brights on, then
you're glitching out again, man.
What the hell? Okay. I'll try and fix that. But and it's got its light.
Internet connection?
Maybe. I don't know.
There's been internet problems all around with the storms. Like we even lost ours for a little while.
Yeah. So
anyway, I'm a different breed when it comes to like anything following me. I don't look back. I did drive a truck for a while. I have a SUV now.
Wait. What color was your truck?
It was a
damn it, Joel.
Truck. And used to go rush people off the road. Yeah, it was actually a '94 Dodge Ram. And to really date myself, I started driving in '95. So I remember my dad had bought the truck and was like, you can use it to go to school and back because it's too expensive for me to use for gas. Of course, me being like a 17-year-old kid, I was like, I can fill this with women, you know? And I failed, never succeeded in that. But the thought was the big truck would make me cooler. It did not. But it was... I still, if a car's like rushing up on you, car, truck, whatever, I've never been like, my truck is so much bigger. Fuck you. I'm not gonna like somebody chasing up on you anyway.
So what?
I just find it funny that people are like, it has to be a truck.
Well, what I think,
get out of the way of a like rushing Prius if I'm trying to get property damage.
In my mind, what it is it's like you have this, a lot of times you've got these lifted trucks or trucks with high beams on. Those are staring right into your back window.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and all you can see is the headlights. You know, it probably wasn't necessarily a black truck, but because it's dark, all you can see is the headlights. It becomes a black truck. So that's kind of what my mind is. It's like, yeah. Like, it's scarier when it's a truck because you definitely can't see shit. Even if they've got their high beams off, like, you can't see anything because the level that their headlights are at are going right into the back of your car.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's going to be scared off the road by, like, Herbie the Love Bug. You know what I'm saying? Like,
anything with round headlights, you're like, that's safe. It's so weird. Like, I'm so fascinated by this whole thing. Because, again, and I know I sound like a broken record saying I was only the Phantom truck. So many people are writing about this Beulah. Mm-hmm. One article here says it's happened between Fairdale and Pearl Road in Boone County. And it's just ghostreach.org. And it says, one of the legends handed out involves the decomposed and rancid-smelling witch Beulah, who is believed to have hung her children. There are people passing around stories of her smell now, too.
Yeah.
Like, she stinks so bad, you will look into her demonic red eyes that openly penetrate the very thing they are staring back at. It is rumored that simply laying your eyes on her ominous being, you will feel an overpowering urge to run. This article is also written by an 11-year-old. Mm-hmm. But you'll find yourself incapable of doing so as an even stronger urge to vomit takes over even more. This is literally That is a sentence. They've taken verbatim from it.
I found another interesting article when I was looking at it. It's from Wattpad, and it was somebody who actually went to look.
Sorry, the next.
Went to look for went to try to go to Bloods Point Road, just to see if they have any hauntings. And here's 6 different multiple different adventures this guy went on. The first one, couldn't find the road, bad directions, went to Aurora instead. Second adventure,
Trying to get to Aurora,
yeah, you
don't
know,
know how you
how
roads that hit Blood Point Road.
how long did you
hit any roads that go to Aurora?
how long did you drive for? That's my question.
Right. I take
yeah,
back roads sometimes coming in to see my family in Belvedere
Like
Poplar Grove, and I could take a back roads through Genoa and go through Genoa, Kingston, and all that.
yeah. If you take 72 and whatnot, I'm assuming that's what
To
happened.
get to Aurora.
It's I guess he just gave up and went to Aurora. Second adventure, perfect situation,
It's 5
Halloween.
minutes outside of Belvedere.
Yeah.
Don't you think you would have known about 20 minutes in?
Well, I don't think this is a local. I think this is someone making special trips. Second adventure, perfect situation, Halloween, Friday the 13th with a full moon and a blood red moon at that.
Wait, it was Halloween and Friday the 13th?
No, the month of Halloween. So it's in October. It's October, Friday the 13th. Full blood red moon. Couldn't find the right turnoff. No streets telling it's the right road, which is hilarious because I've driven on this road enough. You're right. It's really hard. If you fuck up, you will miss the turnoff and you will never be able to find it.
Yeah, you're cutting out again.
Damn it.
Yeah, and judging from your facial expression, you were really digging your point you were making.
It's okay. We're kind of coming up on time anyways for today.
I do think it's...
Sorry, third adventure. Found the road. Nothing happened because it wasn't dark, I guess. Went to see The Exorcist in theaters instead.
Wow, this person sounds a lot like they sound like somebody who is trying too hard. You know, I don't know if any of you guys listened to the last podcast on Left. I absolutely love it. But they say that ghost hunters who want to see a ghost don't, just the same as people who are desperately wanting to see UFOs don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're looking for it, they don't come out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fascinating to me that what I thought was just going to be a, space filler, until we could get back to our regular schedule of doing the book, turned out to be such a thing. I'm finding these stories, like so many people writing these stories, it's literally like falling down a rabbit hole of something that I've just accepted as part of life. And some of these people try really hard. Here's another article where it says, bad luck often follows any living soul that is unfortunate to come into contact with this wretched woman who now walks among the restless corpses forever, stuck on a dead man's hell. What?
I feel like some of these ghost hunter people are just trying to become the next Stephen King because they throw in a bunch of horror adjectives into everything.
Right. I think to myself, if I see a ghost person, I'm not going to be like, let me smell you. You don't smell ghosty enough. Not scared. Bullshit. If I see a ghost who's just sitting there reading a book and I can tell it's a ghost, Joel is going to wet himself. Be like, I'm out. This is some scary shit. Because I'm not even trying to pretend bravery. I don't need other definitions saying that it's a rancid, smelling, decomposed. I don't want smelly ghosts, to be honest. Yeah. I don't need that.
Worst kind of ghost.
Yeah. But
they don't need to assault more than one of my senses. Come on.
Right. I'm already seeing shit that's not 100% there. I'm questioning a lot. I don't need to smell stuff. Especially because with my allergies, my smell.
If you can smell something, it's bad.
Yeah. That's how you know it's a ghost. I can smell it. Yeah, it's obviously a ghost. So,
I think...
to me, I fall into the idea of if you've ever driven a country back road, you have nothing going on. Nothing is a more boring drive than a country back road in the middle of the night with nothing on.
Yeah.
You see things. You're suddenly paying attention to every puff of dust that goes over there. Any animal. I mean, deer look creepy as shit, especially if they got like a pretty good rack on them. Like you see the lights shine. They look absolutely demonic. Everything's glowing on the side of the road. What's great is this is just 130 years or 100. What is it? 56 years of just story compounded on story compounded on story. That is a road that has not really developed. That Bloods Point Road is still in the middle of farmland. And if the cemetery was founded in 1836, sorry, my math was terrible. That's 154 years.
It's near 200 years old.
Yeah, it's old.
181.
Huh?
181.
Okay, there you go. Thank God Ben is using a calculator. It is just compounded stories. That's tens of thousands of people that have taken
tens of
journey.
Thousands of teenagers looking to find
and
something.
The first story that comes on, they're going to come tell that to somebody else. And they're going to come tell that to somebody else. And then every person's going to add on to a different one. And it's really neat. Because just in the years that 20 years, 25 years since I was a teenager, it was just a set of headlights. Now it's a specific truck, it's a specific thing. And the story, as Ben was saying, it sounds like it sticks to it. Now the Bloods Point truck is a black truck. And I wonder what it's going to look like in another 50 years. Like when my boys get to start driving, they're like, oh my God, I heard about this place, Bloods Point Road. What is it going to be? What are the legends they're going to hear? Are they going to hear about the witch, or are they going to be hearing about a truck? For all I know, their legend can go to you get on there and get no cell signal. Holy fuck!
Yeah,
but it's neat to see the evolution of these stories on a relatively unchanged road, and because Bloods Point now looks exactly the same as Bloods Point did.
It's not some like weird like curvy road through the woods. It's just dead straight cornfields on both sides, occasional houses. It's just like straight shot.
Yeah.
If you didn't know the stories, you'd never be able to like connect it with anything. Like it's
so,
just there.
So my introduction to Bloods Point Road was I used to take it as back roads to get to DeKalb. Went to go see my.
You're cutting out horribly.
God damn it! All right,
it's okay. Like I said, we're running low on time.
But what about yours? Have you been on Bloods Point, Brian?
I have. I've been, up and down that a number of times.
Daytime, nighttime.
Whichever. I mean, typically speaking, it's generally during the daytime. Although I have had a couple like nighttime occurrences because we're talking about the whole stretch and whatnot. And
it's probably a good way to beat the Chrysler Rush too, going to Syncreon. Yeah, right out at it,
Mm-hmm. I think there was one point specifically that I was on it at night, and it was because me and Sam, we got out of work at some particular point. And we really wanted to go to the Green Fire restaurant in north of Rockford. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is an awesome place. So,
oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
So we took, I think, Bloods Point, and I mean, I don't remember getting chased by a truck.
Right.
It's possible I was going faster to get to Green Fire than the truck was coming to me. So
the truck's like, I'm gonna get them, and you're like, fuck you, there's pizza. I'm out.
Yeah.
To me, Ben raises a great point. Is there is nothing that really stands out about Bloods Point Road. There's nothing. It's not like there's a sign, "Welcome to Bloods Point Road." Ooh, beware! I've driven by the cemetery so many times and put zero thought into it. It wasn't until I started reading about it that I was like, oh yeah, there was a barrier. There is here to here. And I remember the stories. It took me back to being a teenager where they're all sitting there around campfires being like, oh, guess what? And it's just, everything is so unassuming. Nothing is as it stands out. There's no looming fog or dark forests or
mushrooms.
Wait, of mushrooms. that's just sitting there. What?
Yeah, yeah,
Brian, you're showing us your mushrooms.
I don't know if my mic's better or not, and let me know if it isn't. But anyway, my exposure to Blood's Point was I used to drive it all the way to and from DeKalb, and I drive it late at night.
Yeah, you're out again.
Okay, there you go.
Gosh, dang it! I drive it.
We're coming up on time. Do you want to finish this and do more on it next time, or?
I mean, again, like I have a number of books like all about because I've been trying to like dig into more and more of there's my mushrooms.
Yeah, I said you were showing us your mushrooms. I don't know.
Oh, I was over here showing you my mushrooms too. So
yeah, the fact that you casually eat mushrooms is the creepiest thing we've talked about the entire time.
Yeah, dang it! I had
snacking on mushrooms. You are a monster.
I had personal Blood's Point anecdotes, and I'm mad that my mic is cutting out now.
Yeah, you are still even now cutting up, actually.
Yeah. Do you want to revisit this? I personally love the idea of
I think we could
Rockford lore and seeing where the places were from.
I think we could do a revisit and also continuing on with some other legends. What might be a good one for our next.
There's the cemetery in North 251 Greenwood Cemetery. Greenwood Cemetery.
The big one right in McChesney Park, right?
Yeah, just as you are coming up.
The legend's there. I've been by that one a million times because it's right by that beefaroo.
I mean, they are right by that. They're right by everything because that's a big cemetery.
A huge one. It goes from not Forest Hills.
Is that the one on Auburn?
North Alpine to 251. That whole area between both of it is all of that. Right
and I think what you're talking about is not Alpine. I think what you're talking
Auburn?
about is North 2nd Street.
Yeah, the one on Auburn.
Okay, then I'm thinking of a different massive cemetery. So, yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of cemeteries in the area.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if how much of it is just we don't have great school systems, so are people like, I had time for reading, but I decided to go smoke weed in the cemetery instead. Like, how much of it is that? Like, I don't need any schooling. I'm going to go work at, wherever. Because back then you just had to have, like, fingers and a pulse to get a job because you could it was all manufacturing. So schools wasn't really that important. Somebody's like, I have a degree, and they're like, nerd. What for? It's very interesting. I would love to take a journey down this. We could add more about Blood's Point if you want.
But you guys are familiar with the Tinker's Cottage, right?
I haven't been there.
Joel, no? Nothing?
I've heard the Coronado has ghost tours.
It does. The Coronado's awesome, by the way.
Haunted as shit.
Yeah, super haunted. And also just unbelievably beautiful to see it. Like, let's do the Coronado.
Coronado's good.
We'll finish up Blood's Point and do the Coronado.
There's also the Rockford Boone County Fair that also is, the fairgrounds are supposed to be haunted.
Nah, that's just because it's soaked in LSD from people walking around and dropping that shit. You're hallucinating. The ground literally is just soaked with ergot. We could do that. Or do you want to go back to we want to go back to our roots and do some nerd stuff? I don't know. We got a lot of rabbit holes and a lot of interest. So we'll figure it out and we'll keep you guys updated what we come up with for our next session. Next session will be with Melissa. Will be back with us to discuss Old Man's War, which is fucking amazing.
I love that book so much.
Dude, I'm already on the second book. I know we're not supposed to read it, but I'm already in the second one. It is phenomenal. I'm not supposed to say anything about it and like give judgment, but I just did, so I'm sorry about that for swaying any readers. So if we have nothing left,
suggested it.
If we have nothing left, then we will see you guys on Wednesday for the completion of our campaign, unless something fucked up happens, which is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yep. Don't forget
for those of you who I'm sorry. I was just going to say that, like, you guys can all check out our social media pages. You guys can check out our YouTube channel that has all of our past videos, including our D&D stream, as well as our nerds on various other types of media. And we also have Twitter, Discord. We have podcasts everywhere. So we are literally everywhere you want to be.
For those of you that are fans of the podcast, every Friday, new episode. Every Monday, we stream live on Twitch. We hope
Every Wednesday, we stream live on Twitch.
And every Wednesday, we stream live on Twitch. We are on Twitch a lot.
All right. We'll see you guys again on Wednesday. Thank you.
Please join us and watch our campaign come to a close.
Thank you, and good night.